How's it going? It's a very quick video regarding custom hooks. So look, we create a hook with a number, and the number gets incremented, right? And then we return the function and the number. So as opposed to doing that, you can just do use stuff like this. Use my stuff. And then use my stuff. Now this is gonna be buggy. This is gonna be very, very buggy. This has to have a dot. So look, we can see that the function is being triggered, but it's not re-rendering because I think it's because the hooks I have no idea honestly why it's not re-rendering. But basically, like, sometimes if it's a one-way binding, you want to run it one time and never again, you can do this code. But if it has to be re-rendering, I don't think it's a good idea to do it. So what you need to do then is you need to run the custom hook like this, destructure, or my stuff like this, and only then you can do it. Then it's going to work like this. Yeah, so you see now it's working. Let me just spend a little bit of time trying to figure out why is it not rendering if you just use the hook inside the UI. Okay, 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, so I console log the hook, you console log the const, and it appears that the hook is not being updated. I think it's because it gets recreated. It's very interesting the way it works. So when you assign it to a variable, then it only then it maintains the value between re-renders. If you do not assign it to a variable, then it does not. So that's very, very interesting. So basically, if you want a hook to just do something, like one-time calculation, you can probably use. 1 sec, let me just. But what's the value of number in here? Console log. Yeah, but it will be the same as this one, right? Yeah, I think I'm trolling. Oh. So number gets reset to 0 every single time you call. Every single time you call the hook, it resets the number to 0. Very interesting. Hold on, let me just remove the. I just want to see at what point does it do it. Let me just see. Man, let me get rid of this strict. Drives me insane, honestly. Okay. Okay, so a trigger number increases, number gets reset. Why is that? So one is let me just think 1 sec. Okay, so I figured out why it's specifically why it's doing that. So basically you cannot use a hook without binding it to a variable. And for that, the reason for that is because if you use it without a variable, it has nowhere to bind the, I suppose, properties to. But look, we have my stuff, which is this one here, and then we have my stuff, which is 2, my stuff 2, okay? So my stuff 1 is the thing that's displaying the number and the one that's incrementing the number inside of my stuff, which is a custom hook. I know it's very, very confusing, but this is advanced stuff. I mean, it's just that's the way it is. I'm saying it's programming. I mean, it's not to-do tutorial. Okay, so look, my stuff 1 and my stuff 2 are exactly the same. So now we call the function to increase the number from my stuff 1. Okay, but since my stuff 2 is also inside of the component, it also is going to be called. And because it's being called, console log is being called. And because there was no change inside of this particular instance of the hook, it will show number as 0. Do you understand? So that's why you get, that's why in here when you're console logging just the hook, you get identical result, because it's first calling this and then it's calling this by itself. So you get first number being incremented and second number is not being incremented. Do you understand? Because there are 2 instances of the same hook. One is showing changes and the other one is showing no changes. So then the question is, okay, why can I not use this hook like this? That's because with this syntax, it's going to recall a blank hook on every single re-render, so you get 0 every single time. Because it's a blank hook, there is nowhere to store the changes. If that makes sense. I know it's like confusing, but like that's the way it works, alright? Because variable acts as a, you kind of like separate, like you kind of like when you're assigning it to a variable, you are creating an instance of that hook, and now it can save all the changes into that instance. Whereas if you're just calling it blindly, there is no instance of this hook, so it's just kind of like gonna be recreating it over and over and over from scratch, and that's the way it works. Okay, so just be aware that every single time you use a hook, you always want to assign it to a variable, or if there is no single hook, you probably, well, you either want to assign it to a variable or destructure it. But do not do this. Like, do not do this unless there is only single calculation and you don't need to call it again. But overall, it's a bad practice to do it this way. Okay. always assign it to a variable. Take care, bye bye.